What's up, everybody? Welcome back to One More Guitar. Thank you for watching. I hope you've had a great holiday. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. So today is the third part of my Christmas specials, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all of the stuff I've bought this year and just kind of give you my second opinion on it and tell you what I think about it after I've had some time with it. If you haven't seen part one, my buddy Matt and I, we talked about our favorite 90s albums. That was a lot of fun. And then I put up a video for part two about some playlists on the channel. So you can check those videos out if you want. Just some fun stuff to do around Christmas while I'm off work. But like I said, this video is about just going through and ranking all of the stuff I bought this year. Just for fun. I want to say I like everything I bought this year. So I don't think any of it's bad, but I will put it in order of my favorite stuff. So let's get going. First, let's talk about what I got this year in the order that I got it in. So the first thing I got this year was the Squier 50s Classic Vibe Telecaster. Then next I got the Agafish Signature Harley Benton guitar. After that I got the Epiphone Les Paul Special. Then I got the Squier Baritone Cabernita Telecaster. Then I picked up a Spark amp by Positive Grid. And the last thing I got was the 1959 Epiphone Les Paul standard outfit. Okay, so those are the 6 things I got this year that I've had enough time to play with. Now, I've actually bought a few more things and they just haven't come in yet. I like to do unboxings as soon as I get stuff because I want to play with it. So you may have seen an unboxing, within the past few weeks. And if so, that guitar does not count in this because I just haven't had enough time with it. And if you haven't seen an unboxing in the recent weeks, where is my guitar? Anyway, it'll get here eventually. So anyway, those are the 6 that we're going to talk about today because those are the ones I've had time to play with. The 5 criteria I used were price, usage, specs and quality, the way it sounds, and then my personal connection to it. So those were the things that I ranked 1 to 5, and I'll put this stuff up on the screen as I talk about it. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it and start with number 6 on the list, the Squier Classic Vibe 50s Telecaster. Now, I really like this guitar. I think it sounds great. I had a really good experience with it. It got a score of 17, and here's how it sat. So it got a 5 in the price category because it's sub $500. So if you can get a good guitar under $500, you're doing good. So it definitely got a 5 in that category. As far as usage goes, I'll give it a 3 because I played it a good bit when I first got it, but when I started getting other guitars, I found myself playing it less and less. And it's not just because I was getting new guitars. I was playing all of the other guitars, but I wasn't playing that one very much. And I kind of have some ideas of why, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The next thing was the specs and quality. And I gave it a 3 in this category because it's a pretty heavy guitar. And also they had changed a lot of the specs from the original run. Some of them didn't matter, but some of them did matter. The brass saddles, and I kind of missed the dome knobs. I really wanted that. So for me, those things kind of were a factor. And also the neck was really thin. So to me, the specs on this thing were a 3. As far as the sound goes, however, I think the pickups sounded great. The electronics were good. You could definitely get a lot of tones out of the guitar. I think it sounded really good. And my connection with it, I also gave it a 3. I really enjoyed it at first, but like I mentioned, I didn't stick with it that much. It's a nice guitar, but I didn't really have a great connection with it. And so the last 2 things that I did is I kind of just listed the pros and the cons of each of these and, added or took away points based on that. And so my cons on this guitar, and these are the reasons I think I didn't connect with it, is 1, it's really heavy. It's heavier than any of the other guitars I have, and it just made me not want to pick it up. It's as simple as that. And the second thing is the neck. It's a good neck, but it's really small for my hands. I think this is a great guitar, and I think for younger players, this neck's going to be fine, or if you have smaller hands, of course, it's going to be fine. And it really is a nice guitar, and it's a nice neck. It's just, it doesn't fit my hand very well, and it makes me, again, not want to pick it up when there's other stuff I have that does fit my hand a little better. And the pro I have of it is the sound. Like I mentioned earlier, I think it really sounds good, and I give it an extra point for how good it sounds. I mean, I'm impressed for, a $400 Telecaster. it sounds great. You can definitely gig with it and all of that. It's a nice sounding guitar. So that's my thoughts on the Classic Vibe Squier. Real quick, I have a clip from the video I put up, so let's just check it out and listen to what it sounded like. Okay, number 5 on my list is the Agafish signature guitar, which is right here. I think this was a beautiful guitar, and it's got so many specs with it that it really bumped it up the list for me. To be honest, it's probably the one I've had the least connection with, and when I started this list, I was pretty sure that this was going to be at the bottom, but it just has so many specs on it, and it's such a pretty guitar that it ended up bumping up a little bit in the list. So let me go over all the different categories here. First of all, price. It got a 4 in that category because it was over $500, but it was still, I think it was under $700. So it lost 1 point there, but still a very affordable guitar. All right, as far as usage goes, I have to say it's a 1. I played it for the first couple of weeks I got it, but again, I just didn't really connect with this guitar at all. I think it's beautiful, but I just don't play it very much, and so it got a 1 in the usage category. As far as specs go and quality, I got a 4 in that category. I think it's a really nice guitar, and you know, Harley Benton's kind of known for more affordable stuff, and with all of the specs on this guitar, you've got the strap locks, you've got the nice neck, you've got the Luminlay side dots, stainless steel frets. There's a lot of nice specs on this guitar, and so it definitely did well in that category. Really, the only reason I deducted a point was because of the pickups. They're just really not my thing. They're nice and they're great for what they do. It really doesn't work for me. All right, in the sound category, I gave it a 3 because I do think the pickups are nice if you want to play heavier stuff. They have a really high output. The cleans are a little harder to dial in. You can get some good cleans out of it, but I think those pickups are really made for playing some heavy stuff. And you know, they sound good for that, but they're just not as usable for me. So I gave it a 3 in that category. And as far as my connection goes, really, like I said, I gave it a 1. And that is because I think it's a beautiful guitar. And I know it's a very giggable guitar. If I wanted to gig that guitar, I could swap the pickups out, I could change the tuners out, and, you know, I'd be fine with that guitar. But as it stands, you know, it's just not something that I'm going to use playing around the house, and it's probably not something that I'm going to take out. But I like it being in the collection because it was the first video I made, and I think it's a cool looking guitar. Okay, number 4. I'm going to talk about the Squier Baritone Telecaster, which is right here. I really think this guitar is cool. I love the pickups in it. I think it sounds great. Now let's go through the categories here and talk about how it stacked up. So it got a 5 in price. It was under $500, and you know, it's a quality guitar. I definitely have no complaints about the quality of this guitar. So you got good value for money, 5. As far as my usage goes, I'll say that was a 2. And not for any fault of the guitar other than it's kind of a specialty tool, you know. It's very usable for, you know, doing things in a mix or if you need to play something low. But I can't just set it in the living room and pick it up and play it anytime I want to play something. So the usability of it is about a 2 for me. So for specs and quality, I gave it a 4. I think it's great. The pickups sound really good. The guitar is a good weight. The neck is really nice. Overall, I think the guitar is a good quality guitar. I mean, there's nothing fancy about it, so I didn't give it a 5. You know, there's nothing spectacular about it, but overall, I mean, it's a really good quality guitar. So for the sound category, I gave it a 5. I think it sounds fantastic. Those pickups are really nice. As you roll the volume and tone around, you know, you can get a lot out of it. So I really like the pickups in that thing. I definitely think they're well suited for that guitar. So sound, I gave it a 5. It sounds great. As far as my connection with it goes, I gave it a 3. Again, because I can't just set it in the living room and pick it up and play it anytime. I have to like go specifically say I want to play the baritone. But when I play it, I enjoy it every time. So I think it's a nice guitar. As far as pros and cons go, the cons were can't use it for everything like I've mentioned. And the pros, whereas it gives you a different option. That's one thing I really like about it. If I don't want to just go play another guitar, I can pick that thing up and get inspired in a different way. So I definitely gave it a point for that. And then I gave it another point for the pickups because they really do sound fantastic. So overall, the Baritone Telecaster got a score of 20. Moving to the top three. Actually, number 3 and number 2 tied, but I gave number 2 the edge, and I'll get into that in a minute. But number 3 is the 1959 Epiphone Les Paul Standard Outfit. I really enjoy this guitar, and I haven't had it as long as some of the other stuff, but I'm playing the hell out of that thing. I really love it. It feels good. It sounds good. Those pickups sound fantastic in it. I really like the way it looks. So for the price, I gave it a 4. It was up around the $700-800 range. I can't exactly remember what it was. I think it was 8. It came with a case, which is nice though, so that kind of offsets a little bit. But it was still over the $500 mark, so it lost a point on that. But still, I think it's a good deal for the money. As far as usage goes, it's a 5. I've been using it ever since I got it. I put it down a few times, and I always go back to it. I'm really enjoying it right now, and I'm sure it'll wear off at some point. But right now, I'm really playing this thing a lot, so I definitely put the usage as 5. As far as specs go, again, another 5. I think that the pickups are fantastic. You've got all of the American electronics in it. The switch is really nice. The fret's good. The neck's good. All of it's good. So I'm happy with the specs across the board on that. I even like the finish more than I thought I would from the pictures when I ordered it. The sound, again, I give it a 5. The sound is fantastic on this guitar. I'm guessing it's those Gibson Burstbuckers and the American electronics, but man, that thing sounds so good. I love the sound on it, so had to give it a 5 there. As far as my connection with it goes, I'm going to give it a 4. It's hard to judge right now because I've only had it for a couple of months and I have been playing it a lot, try to get a feel for it. But I can tell there's a couple of things that, I don't like as much as some of the other guitars. So I'll say overall, I think my connection in the long run with this guitar is going to be a 4. I'm going to really like it. It's probably not going to be my number 1 though. I have no cons to list for this guitar. I love the thing. I think it's great. And then I gave it a couple extra points for having the USA parts and then having a case, a really nice case with it too. So overall, this guitar ended up at 25, and I think it's a fantastic guitar. Number 2 on my list is the Spark Amp by Positive Grid. Now this also got a score of 25, but I moved it into the number 2 position just because of how usable it is. It has so many features, but also it's so portable. If I need to go jam somewhere, I don't have to carry hardly anything. That amp is so light, I just grab it and a guitar and I'm good to go. So I definitely think the features on that thing were enough to bump it up to number 2. So let's go over all the categories and talk about it. So for price, it was like $220, so I definitely give it 5 stars on that. I think it's great. There's so much you can do with it, and it's so usable. And at that price range, I mean, how could you not give it a 5? For usability, also give it a 5. I move it to the living room. I move it in here. I take it to my friend's house, take it on trips with me. It's perfect for jamming, for learning, using the headphones. I'll use it to go directly into the computer for audio. It's a super usable amp, so definitely had to give it a 5 in this category too. As far as specs go, I'm going to give it a 4. There are two things about it spec-wise that I don't really love. One is that the cable doesn't have a ground on it, and that can cause some hum with some guitars, and it'll get annoying, so I had to deduct something for that. And the other thing is the strap seems like it's a little cheap. I feel like it's going to break at some point. Maybe not now, but the more I carry it around, the more I think, yeah, this strap is going to break eventually. So I took a point off for those two things. They're not huge issues, but the hum will get annoying, I'll tell you that. As far as sound goes, again, we're back to a 5. The sounds you can get out of this amp are fantastic. You can get a wide variety of stuff, to heavy, clean. I mean, it all sounds good. And you have a lot of parameters that you can tweak where you can make it sound how you want it to sound, and it still sounds good. So I think that the sound of this thing is fantastic. And then as far as my connection with it goes, again, I'm using this thing almost every day. I put it in the living room when I'm not doing something else with it. And if we're sitting around watching TV, I'll plug it in and play. I definitely have a good connection with it because I use it all the time. So another 5 in that category. So for the cons, I said, the cable doesn't have a ground. That's the biggest problem. I've heard people in comments and forums talking about a lot of hum with this amp. And depending on where I plug it in and which guitar I use, I get a lot of hum. Another thing I'll mention is a flimsy power connection. I feel like when you put that thing in there, if it gets bumped or anything, it's going to bend and break. So I had to take a point away from that. It just doesn't seem very solid. And then also I mentioned the flimsy strap. I just feel like that thing is going to break at any time. All right, but the pros of this thing outweigh the cons for sure. The features are fantastic. You've got all of the jam stuff that you can do. You've got the jam tracks that they load. It has a video feature that lets you record yourself, and if you don't like what you did, you just hit the button and it starts over. I love that. I record videos all the time, so it's really nice to just hit the button and start it over if you mess up. I'll say that the jam stuff in there where it creates a track for you, not super useful. The more I played with it, seems to kind of create the same things and the same beats, and I don't love that as much, but not a big deal. What I do use a lot is the jam tracks from YouTube. I'll just sit in there and play along with stuff, and it makes me a lot better player for sure. So I definitely really like that feature of it. Another thing I want to mention is just running it from the USB to the computer and doing the audio direct in. I love that feature of that amp. It's got such good sounds on it that I can use that. The bass setup that I had to record bass was, a little shoddy, to be honest. And so once I got that thing, I can now just take the bass straight in, and it sounds really good. So definitely happy with the features on this thing. And drum roll, number 1 on my list. My favorite thing I bought this year and the thing I use the most and think sounds the best and was the best overall value for price is this Epiphone Les Paul Special. I love that guitar. It's so good. It is so good. It's a good weight. The neck feels great. The pickups sound great. And it was super cheap. I mean, I think it was $400. That's probably the cheapest thing I've bought this year, or right there at that level. And man, it is a fantastic guitar. I think Trogly said that they underpriced this guitar, and I agree with that. It is so nice. All right, so let's go over the categories and see how it stacked up. For the price, like I just mentioned, I mean, it was under $500, so definitely gets a 5 for that. Usage, I played this thing pretty much all summer, every day, when I was in between things at work or in meetings. I would play it anytime I had a break. For the specs and quality, I'm going to give it a 4, and really it should probably be a 5. The only reason I deducted any points at all is just because of the finish, because I've seen the Gibson version, and that finish is really nice where you can see the wood grain. But that guitar is also like 4 times more expensive than this one. So if I had to complain about anything, it would be, you know, that the finish could look a little bit better. But other than that, I've got no complaints about this guitar. I really like the pickups. I really like the neck. I've grown to really like the wraparound bridge. Like I said, I'm enjoying this guitar a lot. Then leading into my last category is my connection, and I think, you know, it's a 5. I've been playing this so much, and I think it's such a good guitar, especially for the money, that it's my favorite one of the year for sure. I got no cons. That finish thing did not count as a con. That's so small. No cons. And then the pros are, it just sounds fantastic, and it plays fantastic too. And you may have seen my unboxing video. It was kind of junk out of the box, the way it was set up and how dirty it was. But once I got it set up and cleaned up, it was really nice. I love this guitar. I don't think you can go wrong getting this guitar. For $400, why not, man? Why not? It's nice. I'm telling you. You will enjoy it. It's so much fun. It sounds great, clean and dirty. Alright, so that's how I would rank everything I got this year. I hope that was enjoyable to you to watch me go through and, you know, kind of give you my second opinion after I've had this stuff for a little while and been able to play with it some. I want to say thank you to everybody that's subscribed to the channel over the year. I really do appreciate it. It means so much. I think at the time of me shooting this, I'm somewhere around 500 subscribers, and I can't believe that. I really can't. Thank y'all so much for watching and, you know, clicking the buttons and keeping up with the channel. It means a lot to me, and I'm definitely going to keep doing this. So thank you to you. I'm definitely going to do some more lessons pretty soon for anybody that's watching that stuff and trying to learn. I wanted to give you some time to absorb what I've put out so far, but we'll start that back up pretty soon. Like I said, I got some more guitars coming, and then I've got some fun stuff planned for next year if we can work it all out, so we'll see how it goes. So I hope you have a great New Year's, and till next year, take it easy and keep playing.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.